2014, it was 570. If you take an average of $100 billion in the last 30 years, you now find at 12% is about $360 billion. If we're only able to recover 10 or 20% of that, that will be between $36 to $80 billion, which overlaps the $1 billion the executive hopes to get from the executive order have been signed within 1 year, within 9 months.
Honorable Okorie, permit me to just come in here. If this bill you're proposing is a winning formula, why would you want to go halfway? Why not go the full way and see that you collect or recover all the looted monies out of this country? Why go halfway?
Thank you very much. The issue is, let's now be a little professional in definition of terms. What is looted money? Go back to our history. Go back even to the papers that were reviewed today. Ask any anti-corruption agency. There's nothing like looted money. All of them are incomes and revenues to either the agencies or to the persons who own them. It is when it is criminalized and found it has come illegally that it becomes, you call it a loot, or all of them to those people or those entities is income. So when we try to distinguish as to income and loot, that's where we are failing the argument and misleading the discussion. Every company, you find that in the agencies and courts, it's usually companies that are said monies are passed through. It is still the same companies that should go and declare their incomes and pay tax. So we are going the whole hog. We are therefore saying, and that's what the executive order is saying, money from any source. He said it's liabilities in any way whatsoever. That's what the executive order said. So however you declare an income, it is only when you go and check the integrity of it that you determine whether it is legal, illegal, a loot, or genuine income.
You know, I'm just wondering, I don't know how people will be convinced, because if someone is being investigated for illegally acquiring funds from the state, they'll call it, look, this is a suspected loot. It's not suspected income. Okay, well, if you want to call it income, but so I'm still wondering about this proposal. What's going to be the difference? I mean, first of all, why would you even think about maybe looking at that? You say it's income. Some could call it, look, it's a loot is a loot, perhaps when found guilty. Why would you consider saying, well, if those monies are recovered, if you come forward and say, I illegally acquired these funds, and then I'm still trying to understand your bill, and then I come forward and say, well, yes, this is what I got. If they pay tax on that money, will they be allowed to go free and all charges dropped?
Well, we've not talked. What we said is that if you voluntarily come declare, and that of course, Section 22 of that bill proposes that gives the CBN the power to produce a guideline, regulation, to make regulation for the operation of the law. This is where the details of the kind of matter you raised, the operability of the law comes in. That which would mean that CBN would say, no, if you're already in court with our agencies, you don't qualify. That is a guideline process. That is not, I don't think that is what is most important at this point of discussing the hardcore of the bill, because the guideline will be proposed to take away that which doesn't qualify. Let me refer you even to the executive order. It clearly excluded anybody who is under process of tax audit or investigation with relevant tax authorities. That's what the executive order has provided. That if you come forward, even though you are under tax audit or investigation, which if it were the EFCC or ICPC, that's criminal investigation. That has been excluded. Well, I want Nigerians, and especially the media, to do a review of the executive order and find that that executive order provides fully what my bill has provided, except, of course, that if you remember the first report of this, before it was signed, when the Minister of Finance first mentioned it, they called it tax amnesty. But maybe because my economic amnesty started getting flex, they have not mentioned your tax amnesty any longer. It is now called a recovery scheme. So you need to look at the executive order and find that the ingredient of the bill. And in a bill, we didn't recognize the fact that you can be under investigation, under court, and come and declare. We are saying it is voluntary. That means maybe you are scared, they may get you. Maybe you are scared they're coming at you. You will not come and declare. Let me remind you, the AMCON alone, about 100 people are owing Nigeria 2.3 trillion. And what have they done? Those companies through which they took this money from the banks, for which AMCON paid through a Commonwealth, they have virtually killed those companies, opened new ones, taking around private jets all over the world, and under corporate protection, we don't look at it. Who knows? Maybe there are so many aged people who are under investigation, probably, who, because we are not able to get enough things to indict them. Maybe if they had this leeway, they could come forward and we get our money. Do you know what is happening? Education, we have, a new report says that about 70% of Nigerian children do not have a prospect of going to school. Right. And that means that 15 years down the line, we are going to have a terrible situation in our hand. And a few people have taken away incomes, made money through our environment, whether legally or illegally, and have not come forward to pay for us to use and provide services and infrastructure for the people. What will happen 20 years from today, 10 years from today? We are facing a dire consequence. And that's why we need to use every way we can as an interventionist program to recover what had been taken away and from our environment but had not been paid tax upon or had not brought back to us.
We still have a lot of questions, but there's so many gray areas which we would still like to understand. Perhaps we'll have to take you up on that subsequently because we're out of time on this one. But Honorable Linus Okorie, a member of the House of Reps and proposer of this bill, we appreciate you talking to us today on the program. But we will be back in a moment. Don't go away.